What's up, Nation? Really appreciate everybody for tuning in. My name is Law Nation, LAW Nation. I just want to say happy 4th of July to all of those that's out here that's celebrating 4th of July. Really appreciate those who support this team, who support this country and beyond. Although we have some, I guess, discrepancies with the country as relates to some political stuff that's going on that happened really pretty much every 4 years, every election cycle. We have this hatred amongst each other, and we're so divided with so many things. Nevertheless, I want people to understand that even though we have our disagreements with something, doesn't mean that you should hate. Even though we have our disagreements with something, let me repeat this, that you should fall into the ramifications of hate. I think that we so easy to be misguided in a sense, whereas we start to look at every faults, and there's a lot of faults, and the major thing is that we just have to work together as unity. We have to find a common ground. And remember this, if you don't hear anything else from me, when you throw dirt, you lose ground. You're pretty much finding a pitfall to fall in. And I think that there's a lot of positivity out there that we can grab a hold to that. One of the greatest presidents of all time said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, right? and you guys can Google the name of that president, actually. I want people to know that just because a certain segment of people have a inkling or a mindset to do harm or to hurt doesn't mean that it includes everybody. Let me repeat, just because a certain sector or certain people have the intentions to do harm or to do hurt doesn't mean that you have to put everybody in that boat. A good case in point, and I always like to use analogies. Look, a lot of us didn't like Jason Garrett administration. That lasted for 13 years, basically. Because out of the 13 years, 3 of the years, of course, he was the offensive coordinator behind Wade Phillips or what have you. But 10 of those years, we began to look at it and say, well, this is not the Dallas Cowboys that we love. But we didn't hate the Cowboys for it. We kind of found ways to survive and live through it and found certain good things throughout the Jason Garrett system, you know. And on top of that, we still gave our love and adulations. Now, this country, I've seen so many people that look like me are so to, hey, I hate this, I hate that. I hate this country. You know, they so quick to say that, but within the same breath of talking, they fail to realize and look at some of the positive things that they were able to do. Like for me, example, you know, I can look back and say, man, oh, I had it rough living in Mississippi. Mississippi, not just Mississippi. Look, let me tell you guys a little truthful story here. You know, we didn't integrate our schools until 1991. Let that sink into your mental. We didn't have North Natchez and South Natchez to merge until 1991. That's right around that was right around the corner. That seemed like yesterday, 1991. Nevertheless, I can still tell you guys that with strong will, hope, and determination, I didn't use that as my crutch. You know, I didn't use that as a pitfall. I continue to find ways. Yes, we're all not given the same silver spoon. And yes, some people don't even have a spoon at all. But we have the opportunity. Do not spoil what you have. I'm just telling you guys, do not spoil what you have. And when we look at the other news that's throughout this, the NFL, the Washington team changing their names, getting their name removed. In a sense, I look at it like, yeah, that's a good move for that particular organization to finally understand that there's certain people that feel ill about that name. I don't see the point of somebody holding on to a name, even if it affects a certain small amount of people, whereas their voice is not being heard, you know. So I think that movement is in the right places. I've seen people to want to know my stance on lift every voice and sing. Coming from a music major when I was in high school or what have you, I had a college scholarship to be a music major in college. Didn't want to do that because I was burned out of doing music. I love that score, lift every voice and sing. But I'm falling on the aspect of what Shay Sharp, and I rarely agree with Shannon Sharp, but I do fall on the aspect of that's a lot of pandering. That's a lot. Okay, we're going to give you this so you can hush about that. Nevertheless, that's a story of a different day. I think that people need to understand that it's hard right now for everybody to agree with everything. When you have 2 plus 2 is 4, and then somebody yelling out, nah, nah, law is not 4. It's 3, it's 6. But the reality of it, 2 plus 2 is 4. Shout out to Leron, man. Really appreciate you, man. Pandering without real change. Yes, we need to go out there and make something happen. Look, remember I said the other day, there's 3 type of people in this world, right? And I know some people it's going to go over their head. There's people that go out there and make things happen. There's a person that go out there and watch things happen. And there's somebody that say, hey, what just happened? Be the one to go out there and make things happen. Understand that, yes, football, I primarily talk about football, but at the end of the day, believe it or not, it's just entertainment. Football is just entertainment. But if you want to make social changes, if you want to make changes as relates to, policies and things like that, political changes, then go out and vote, go out there and run for office, do other things. But I don't think that you should go around and get mad at the sky because it's blue and say, the sky shouldn't be blue today. I want the sky to be orange. It doesn't change because you want something. You got to change because you go out there and make something happen. You got to make it change. H-Town, get down. What's good with you, man? Really appreciate everybody for tuning in to the nation. For those who just tuning in, my name is Law Nation, LAW Nation. Follow me on multiple platforms. And I just try to give you guys my raw thoughts, my raw opinions of things. Just like we had the news cycle to go through yesterday, David Njoku. A lot of people were saying, hey, Law, they using the Dallas Cowboys for leverage. They're using Dallas Cowboys for a ploy situation so that they can get their client the most money. And I agree. Whenever you want something to be said, you use the Cowboys. David Njoku is disgruntled with his contract, really not happy with the Cleveland Get Down Browns, which to me personally, I don't blame him. Nevertheless, he said, hey, I want to get traded. And here's a team that I would love to be on, basically. I'm interested in the Dallas Cowboys. My thing is, and shout out to my dog, Mike Fisher, and shout out to anybody from the publications of the Dallas Cowboys franchise. I will say this. Hush. Don't come out and say, well, the Cowboys are not interested. The Cowboys are not worried about David Njoku. This is much to do about nothing. Bull sugar. Any player that's out there that got the ability to create an impact to the team, any player the Cowboys should be interested in. They should always say, we're leaving no stone unturned. Why, Law? Why? For one, you leave the opposition thinking maybe, just maybe, the Cowboys will pull the trigger on this guy. Number 2, you never, ever want to paint yourself into a corner because that guy might say to himself, hey, I would play for the Dallas Cowboys for peanuts. You never know. So what I'm trying to say is stop coming out with news saying that, hey, my organization is not interested, or the Dallas Cowboys reported and said that they're not interested. It's better to just leave that all hush-hush and let that go all the way through or under the radar. And on top of that, it's better to say, yeah, I am interested. Who would not be interested in an athletic superstar? That's how you got to look at this thing. I know I would look at it in those fashions. Shout out to you, Silver, man. Really appreciate you for tuning in to the nation, man. I really appreciate everybody who follow this channel, and thank those. And remember, Those convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. I'm not out here trying to change your mind, your thought track, or whatever you may do in life. But I just want people to understand that that life is always ever changing. And life is always something new. I really appreciate you, Gracia. D, what's good, man? Really thank you for tuning in to the nation. I just try to give you guys my raw flavor, my raw thoughts. I never want people to think that it's not possible. I want people, regardless of where they come from, regardless of what circumstances that they was born out of, that it's possible. And believe it or not, as much as we all come from different avenues and different thought track, America make it happen. America is a place where we can still say, yes, it's possible. If you think I'm lying, try to move everything and move to China. Try to pick up everything and move to Russia. Try to pick up everything and move to Australia. Try to pick up everything and move out of the country. And then say, hey, it's better over here. Why don't you come over here? No, people are pretty much rolling boats and trying to swim to get to the United States of America. Now, I do know that negative, you can take 5,000, 300,000, you can take 4 billion, and you times it by -1, it becomes a negative number. I do know that when you start talking politics, it'll always bring in some side of negativity. Nevertheless, I want you guys to have an independent thought track. Don't look at one party and say, well, they're right. And that's the only way they're right. Don't look at the other party and say, well, they're wrong and they always will be wrong. No. Life does not work that way. I disagree with my wife all the time, right? She disagrees with what I have to say all the time. But that doesn't mean that I hate my wife, right? That means that we working on something and say to ourselves, how can we get back on the same page? Just like, use it as an analogy, we disagree all the time with the Dallas Cowboys. That doesn't mean we hate the Cowboys. We can say that, man, it was wrong for Jason Witten to have all of those years playing in that position as tight end, and we could have gave somebody else a chance and an opportunity. But that doesn't mean that we hate Jason Witten because he played in that position and we don't like his overall collective skill set, and we don't like the fact that he ran like Methuselah and he ran 6 or 7 yards and he turned back and looked for the ball for 13 years or whatever, how many long Jason Witten played for the Cowboys. It doesn't mean that. It just means that we disagree with how he plays the game. But there's some people that will look at Jason Witten and say, hey, I would not be playing football if it wasn't for number 82. There's some people that think that. Just like, here's the situation. I had a contractor to come over my house to fix some things around the house. Of course, you guys know I got a little one in addition to the Law Nation family. And he was like, man, you look familiar. Man, you look familiar. And I said, yeah, I get that all the time. And he was fixing the wall of my house or what have you, securing the location. And in the course of fixing the location or what have you in a certain part of my home, or securing it basically, he gave me like a quiz. He was like, of course, we started talking about what I do or what have you. And I said, I don't like the Cowboys. I love the Cowboys. And I was going over the Cowboys and these sorts of things. And Johnny on the spot, he gave me a quiz and I wasn't even ready for it. As much as I immersed myself with Cowboys knowledge, I forgot about this one thing. You guys remember Herschel Walker? And he talked about that trade that happened with Herschel Walker, which I remember. But he said, hey, did you remember when Herschel Walker played with Emmitt Smith? And I was sitting there like, nah, dog, I don't think Herschel Walker played with Emmitt Smith, but I was thinking about the front end, and I was saying like, nah, Herschel Walker came before Emmitt Smith, and Emmitt Smith didn't play with Herschel Walker. And he said, you come again? You call yourself a Cowboys fan? And I'm sitting there like, whoa, wait a minute. All I do is talk Cowboys. Now, what is he talking about? And he kept on saying that, like, yeah, I see what type of fan you are now. And I was like, what is he talking about? But he went into details. And I forgot that Herschel Walker came back on this team in 96 and 97 season. And there was a moment where I sit there like, this mother, you know what I'm saying? But the reality of it is that sometimes we will forget. Sometimes we don't know everything. But that doesn't mean that I'm less of a Cowboys fan than him. Or that doesn't mean that I know more than he does, or he knows more than me. What it says and what it's saying to me is that we all fall short of knowledge. We all fall short of things, and we forget things. And then I started to look up Herschel Walker, and the reason why I forgot a lot of times was that Herschel Walker only had 10 snaps as it relates to running the rock that season. 10 snaps, 10 snaps, or 10 attempts. But he was primarily a third down running back for the Dallas Cowboys, helping Emmitt Smith out as it relates to third down packages. But the one problem that I failed to realize, that the brother was good. When I went back to look at the stats, he gave me a homework assignment. When I look back at the stats, I said, whoa, he was pretty good at kickoff returns. I said, this brother, he scored a touchdown. He did numerous things as it relates to kickoff returns. So that goes to show you that we don't know everything. 96, 97, I didn't see every particular game. I didn't know every stat. But that's just how it goes, man. We fall short on certain things. Shout out to those who say, yeah, Law, man, yeah, Herschel Walker had 2 stints with the Cowboys. It was a short-term monster, yes. Abbas, Ali Abbas. I hope I said your name right. So, getting back to the news of the Cowboys, this Mike McCarthy. I want people to understand that Mike McCarthy, the coach for the Dallas Cowboys, I was going back and forth with a lot of people that was on the round table with the NFC East talk. Ali, like the boxer. Really appreciate you, man. I can barely see, man, your name, but I see it now. I apologize. Got the shades on, trying to look cool in the car, in the whip before I go run these pretty much assignments that I got to go run. You know how it goes. You know, the mama do list basically, or the honey do list. That's the best way to put it. All right, so Mike McCarthy. We was talking about who was the best coach in the NFC East. And it dawned on me when we was going through the round table with the group of 4 guys. It was me, Bad Dog. He's a Bad Dog Sports. He's a Giants fan or what have you. Lord Bronson of the Philadelphia Eagles. And we had my dog, Louis T. It's your boy, Louis T. Network. So we were going back and forth like, who is the best coach in the NFC East? And off the top of my head, I didn't really think to look at Mike McCarthy's complete track record, and I went off of the vibe. But I did preface my statement by saying that, hey, until now, my thought could change during the course of the season. Nevertheless, I said Doug Peterson is the best coach in the NFC East, off of just what I've known of the other coaches before I started doing my research. And I looked at what Doug Peterson was able to do with the handful of talent that he had on his team. In 2016, I think that was his first year, right? Didn't do that well. They went 7-9, then they won the Super Bowl the following year. We got to give contributes to Howie Roseman, whatever the GM name, because what he did that offseason, he said, okay, I got a serviceable quarterback, went behind the ear, but showed us some, abilities that he can win a few games. So what he did was he surrounded the quarterback with weapons. Oh, what weapons, Law? Well, a lot of people say it was fly, Eagles, fly, but it was more so run, Eagles, run. Remember 2017, the Eagles defense was still intact. They went out and they gave a good running attack for that particular offense. The 3-headed monster. They had a LeGarrette Blount, who was a past Super Bowl experienced running back, and they had, of course, the little tiny leg guy that always run everywhere. I think his name was Sproles. and had some other guy that was able to push the ball or run the ball fluently. The main thing was it was never about the outside wide receivers. It was Trey Burton, it was also Zach Ertz, and it was somebody else that was able. I think it was Dallas Goedert wasn't on the team at that time. It was another tight end, and he just slipped in my mind. But that was the philosophy and the concept of their system. It was more so run the rock, play good stout defense, and serviceably use what you have in front of you by not taking deep throws underneath, dump off passes. And it was a systematic situation. But a lot of people looked at it and said, it was Carson Wentz, it was Nick Foles who was doing all of this magical stuff. No, it wasn't that. It was the ideology that they was able to utilize a complete team in the defense. Well, how did that happen? They went out and made some acquisitions, some transitions to help out that particular team. And what I'm trying to tell people is that is all done through coaching. Oh, Law, no, it's not. It was the team. No. I want you to go back and look at the Chip Kelly's type of team. They had talent. They had a lot of weapons, but Chip Kelly dismantled that team. One can argue that that team was more talented with Chip Kelly because remember the dream team scenario? Remember, it could have been a little bit before Chip Kelly, but you guys know what I'm saying, right? Chip Kelly had all of those weapons. McCoy, got rid of him. He had a D Jackson, got rid of him. Coaching matters. If you guys don't hear me enough, understand that coaching matters. Why do you say that, Law? Because what the Eagles did was the equivalent to what the Cowboys were doing. If they were to keep Chip Kelly for 10 to 13 years, don't you know where they would have been headed if the owner of the Eagles fell in love with Chip Kelly? Let me know if I'm lying. If the owner of the Eagles fell in love with Chip Kelly and said, that's my coach, I believe that he can take us to the promised land, then they would have had that guy for 13 years or 10 years or what have you, and we would have been enjoying that, right? Shout out to you, my dog over here, Anthony Gonzalez, man, really appreciate you. Happy Independence Day. God bless Cowboys Nation. Thank you for being nothing but the best, man. I really appreciate you, man. I really thank you, man, so much, man. In-game adjustments is how you win the game. Yes, keeping the opposition on their heels. Appreciate you. A most random thought. Happy Treason Day, everyone. Appreciate you though, man. I thank you for the donation, for the help grow the nation. One day at a time, one movement at a time, brick by brick, we stack these things together. Nevertheless, to make the long story short about the coaching that's in the NFC East, I had Doug Peterson, I had Mike McCarthy, then I had the coach from over there, from Coach Riverboat Ron is the third coach. Then of course, naturally I had Judd, whatever the coach over there, whatever his name is over there at Judge, I believe his name is Judge, right? For the New York Giants. Let me know if I'm right. Coach Judge. Or Judd, is it Judge or Judge? I had him in last place because he's unproven. But I told them, watch out for Jason Garrett because he got his sneaky ways of getting back on top of things. Coach Joe Judge, really appreciate you, John. All right, so after I started looking at everything, I started looking at it and reviewing everything of Mike McCarthy. I said, this brother is a 600, I think, and 28% winning record, or he's above the 500 winning percentage coach. He's a .628, I believe. He won over 120 games. I started to think about it, and I said, you know what? I know a lot of people would say, yeah, that is because of the hands. That is because of the hands of Aaron Rodgers. But people fail to realize Aaron Rodgers had to go through some type of growth spell, right? Aaron Rodgers was not the Aaron Rodgers that everybody think coming out of the womb, right? Or coming out of the gates. He sat on the bench for 3 to 4 years. Oh, he had Brett Favre too, right? Brett Favre, people know that Brett Favre was volatile in a sense. Have some good games, have some bad games, but Brett Favre was just never this guy that everybody look at and say, oh, better watch out for Brett Favre. So coaching plays a major role, and you do not win that amount of game just because you say, okay, I got a quarterback. No, 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 no. I remind people the year that the Green Bay Packers won the Super Bowl is because they went out there and made some acquisitions. They finally put some pieces out there like a Charles Woodson, a Peppers, and the defense was able to get the ball back to the offense, and of course the offense was able to move the rock. Nevertheless, I think that if it wasn't for the coaching to bring in or to have that philosophy to know that, hey, with Aaron Rodgers, I just can't win a Super Bowl with just Aaron Rodgers. I got to have some type of defense. I got to take the ball away. I got to figure out ways to put pressure and apply pressure and keep pressure to get the ball back to the quarterback to give us chances and opportunity. So many people say that, well, it was all because of Aaron Rodgers. Let me remind people a lot on this right here. I don't think that Mike McCarthy ever had an Ezekiel Elliott. Oh, Lord, I don't think that Mike McCarthy ever had a chance to have a Tony Pollard. You know, you can have that argument. Or I don't think that Mike McCarthy, of course, Eddie Lacy was bad at a moment, but I don't think that Mike McCarthy had the weapons that we have and exhibit and exude as relates to a Sedarian Lamb. Oh, as it relates to a Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. You giving this guy weapons now? I think that he can push that needle. I think that he can make things happen. I think that even with Dak Prescott, for those, if you really want to get to the bread and butter of everything, if I compile 2016 numbers, and I know it's just numbers only tell half of the story, but if I compile 2016 numbers to 2019 numbers, and I just insert Aaron Rodgers, hear me out. Hear me out, Cowboy Nation. I know you guys gonna say blasphemous. You know, this guy is crazy. Law Nation is crazy. Aaron Rodgers numbers don't blow out Dak Prescott numbers like that. Is that a good nugget? Aaron Rodgers numbers do not just blow Dak Prescott numbers out of the water like that. And we know that Dak Prescott was a quarterback that's trying to develop, trying to learn, trying to go through different offensive coordinators, going through different quarterback coaches. And now you bring in a guy that really know how to speak the language of the quarterback. Let that sink into your mental. All I can say is I want people to stop judging Dak Prescott and to Aaron Rodgers and compiling Dak Prescott to Aaron Rodgers as relates to Mike McCarthy. And Mike McCarthy never was that guy that helped elevate Aaron, right? But just look back at the tape. The times that Dak Prescott versus an Aaron Rodgers head-to-head matchup, it's not like Aaron Rodgers blew Dak Prescott out of the waters. Also, within the confines of this conversation, let me tell you guys this right quick. Let me tell you guys this. What if I told you, like Ripley's Believe It or Not, that one can argue that Dak Prescott had better head-to-head numbers? Although, hear me out, although Aaron Rodgers' win category is a whole lot better, you know. Give Aaron Rodgers that credit, though. Give Aaron Rodgers that credit. I hope Dak signs on my birthday. I think that this team is so close. And just hear me out. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Just hear me out. I really think this team is so close to maybe picking up one more defensive guy to really tip the scale. Maybe it's an Everson Griffin. Like my guy Jay Farmer, he was talking about, this is the thing, this is the situation. That the reason why Everson Griffin is not signed yet because he got to go through, I guess, health check and things like that, right? But I think that if they sign Dak Prescott to that 4 to 5 year deal, whatever it may be, it will open up so much money for us to go out there and pick up one more proven commodity, one more proven defensive player that can help elevate this team? I think so. Ali says distraction affects the team. Yeah, I agree. I agree. But if we go back to look at the head-to-head matchups between Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers, you can really say that those numbers, one or two plays, ball didn't bounce the right way. The defense wasn't up to par. You can really say, well, the Cowboys really have a chance. Quest, you too, yeah, defense, and yes, slow starts against the Green Bay Packers always been our Achilles heel, and I think that this new regime, this new coaching staff, we won't have that problem or issue. We won't be hesitant in a sense. What's up, Philly? Really appreciate you for tuning in to the nation. All right, so who else we have here? I just want people to understand that. Don't be going out there and say, hey, this Law Nation guy saying that Aaron Rodgers is not better than Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott is the best thing since sliced bread. No, I'm not saying that. Adams and Clowney for defense. Let me see if I can do this right quick while my phone trying to break itself down. Let me plug this in right here. Give me a few seconds. There we go. Got the juice coming in now. All right, so say that question again. Post it down below again. There we go. Q&A time. What we have here? We've seen Ezekiel Elliott suspension drama. Yeah, wishful thinking. The anthem controversy is going to be an issue for the upcoming year. Jerry needs to back down from the. Jerry need to back down from the players. Oh, Jerry need to back down or back up the players, I guess. I think that's what you're saying, Ali. The anthem controversy. Remember, and I don't want y'all to be like, man, Law is on some crazy shit, man. This Law is crazy with this stuff. I don't want you guys to think that. But I believe deep down in the hearts of hearts is that I liked it better when the players ran out of the tunnel. I liked it better when Ray Lewis used to do his crazy dance. And even though I can't stand the Philadelphia Eagles, the old filthy green, they had the other guy, they call him Wolverine. I forgot his name at the tip of my tongue. I liked it better those years when they just ran out of the tunnel, got everybody crunk, and just got to playing football. I loved it better when, when the smokes and the fireworks and the players running out of the tunnel, and there was no Star Spangled Banner, it wasn't no anthem, it was nobody, everybody stand to their feet, and they made this situation where it brought attention away from the sport. I just like the sport of football. I believe that when we played football in high school and middle school or what have you, and we ran track or we did any type of participation as relates to sports, that was the few moments where coaches would rally us up, said, hey, we want to whoop some ass. We want to go down here to Woodville and leave our footprint in the ground and let people know from this little small city, Woodville, that they don't want to run across Natchez anymore. We want to rip out their heart, soul, and all of this stuff. I liked it football better when it was like that. I'm from Woodville, I'm from Natchez, Mississippi, and we played a little small school like Woodville, and we went up to Pike County and whoop up some people in that way, and Brookhaven and Port Gibson. We played, but the coaches or the coach at the time, we would be sitting back in the, before we run out, we'll be talking about game plan and execution. Nevertheless, I know football is all about pandering and around and appeasing a lot of people with TV contracts and stuff like that. And to me personally, I just think that there's so many people. Let me see. Score versus Ravens and 49ers. Yeah, I'm gonna break that down too. I'm gonna put that out there. Me too, no doubt. I like it better, but we have to address where we are. We have to embrace it. This is from Ali. Good points, man. here's the thing. So moving forward, or moving towards the anthem now, we know that when Colin Kaepernick brought light of the situation of first he sat on the bench, and then one of the military guys who, I guess one of the people that fought for this country, said, hey, it'll be more respectful if you take a knee, because sitting on the bench is complete disrespectful to the flag or what have you. Regardless of what cause you're trying to do it for, I think that you show respect by doing a knee, and also putting out there why you're doing that to the masses as it relates to media. Okay, we understand that a lot of people only took one half of it and said, okay, this guy's being completely disrespectful to the flag, when his original stance were for social injustice, right? Police brutality. All right, so where Colin Kaepernick did wrong was that, I guess like a following month or so, he wore socks with a pig on it, I guess pointing out that all polices are pigs or what have you. And I can, from a certain degree, say that, yeah, that was bad on his watch. That was horrible on his watch. Nevertheless, a person who went through that type of situation would or could view all polices as that. And I can see where people can say, nah, I got uncles that's a police officer, I got an auntie that's a police officer, I got a cousin right down the street that's a police officer. How does that help the movement? How does that help your message by saying that all cops are pigs? So that was a problem. That's why a lot of people viewed him as a distraction. Nevertheless, it tainted the overall message. My thing is, Dak Prescott came out and said, okay, that reporter asked Dak Prescott, will he take a knee? And Dak Prescott said, I understand what Colin Kaepernick took the knee for. Nevertheless, it's all about action. I'm about, okay, he got his point out. Now it's about how we can move and be on the same page as it relates to action. My inbox was full by people that I know, people, the loved ones that I care about. They all hit me up and said, hey, Law, how can you support Dak Prescott when he said that he would not take a knee, because he said that the love of the game is more important and we should all be on the same page, and he about action. That, brother, is nothing more than a coon. That's what I got with my box. And I know a lot of people don't understand it because they not me. You know, I get full of message. Law, speak on this. Law, speak on that. Law, what are your thoughts on this? So I told him, hey, nah, I agree with Dak Prescott. The message was not at the time, because remember in 2017 and 2018, that was Dak Prescott's second year going into his third year, and he didn't have the longitude and latitude to sit there and say, I'm going to take a stance and take a knee as well. Dak Prescott didn't have that room. You thought that Colin Kaepernick was not able to get a job. Can you close your eyes and imagine what Dak Prescott would be able to do? And a lot of people saying, see, he's folding into Jerry Wayne's the man. Dak Prescott is not an upstanding citizen. And all I can think about is saying, man, they must don't know Dak Prescott went to Mississippi State and he endured a lot of stuff that's out there that was never reported. Let me repeat, a lot of stuff that was never reported. Nevertheless, a lot of people want everybody to fight for the same cause, but never look at the full, complete picture and say, what is this person is doing individually as it relates to remuneration? What is this person is doing individually as it relates to how can he help move this needle to that part, or help not sully and denigrate a full segment of people because they fail to realize that Dak Prescott didn't grow up in the same household that they grew up in. And it will always be a point where everybody is not agreeing with everybody, and it will always be those convinced against their will is of the same opinion still, and nobody will never get anything done. But the only way things can get done if you're about action, a course of action, a plan of action. How can I move from this location to that location? What direction I should take? And that, my friend, is what Dak Prescott did when he donated $1 million, not to the police department, but to an organization that can help elevate and train. That's putting your money where your mouth at. But a lot of people would never understand that. They will only look at the fact and say, he said he won't take a knee. That is the problem. Just because everybody don't agree with a certain stance, that they're a coon or they are a problem with society. No, 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 no. You got to be about that action. And the situation is with this, do you take a knee, do you don't take a knee? The action, the cause is already out on the forefront. We know the reason why players are kneeling. Now it's the time about how can we go from the kneeling to putting out information to help everybody out, to take a stance as it relates to, okay, now we have police reform. Not saying that you defund the police department, but now you can go through better training. Oh, now you can break down other situations as it relates to right to trial. Now you can get police arrested when they do something wrong. Not every police is bad. So we got to look at both sides of the coin. What's up, Mark? What's up, Meek? Really appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of the nation. I hope that you guys are understanding what I'm saying and what I'm trying to put out there to the world. For everybody to understand that not everybody is going to agree on the same page. Not everybody. Pig socks were a mess. I know cops, that was a mess. Yeah. People are aware now. Now it's about change. Yeah, I couldn't read the rest of it. If you think that it's racism, how to penetrate the police department? What makes you think racism has an infiltrated the police training? Yeah, let me say this though. There's no way that we can abolish and remove all racism. There's no way we can do that. There's no way that we can remove all people that have hatred in their hearts. There's no way we can do that. There's no way that we can go into, the universities and certain institutions and say, okay, we're here to remove all racism. Nevertheless, there is ways that we can find out problems and make solutions. That's the only thing that can happen, is finding the solution to those problems. Meaning that maybe through this amount of testings, we eliminate chokeholds. Oh, through this amount of testing, we eliminate, stop and frisk. Through this amount of testing, we find out that this amount of people that had certain, warrants and these sort of things, that maybe you don't have a no-knock warrant in place so that you won't bust down the wrong door and shoot up the place and it so happened to be the wrong house. Maybe through educating and through systems that we can figure out ways to remove and have some type of accountability act, whereas when you do 2 or 3 wrong things, you're out, just like the 3-strike rule, in baseball. Maybe 1 strike or 2 strike is enough. Maybe we can figure out ways to implement a system, and not just a system of control, but a system of way to hold people accountable so that we won't have the repeat actions. I recall that, when a woman get pulled over and it's time to frisk a woman, I think that they call another woman to do the frisking. They don't have the male officer to grope the lady to see whether or not, she have or carrying weapons and these sorts of things. I think that we need to come up with a system. And the only way we can come up with a certain system in place, if people go out and vote, people do their due diligence of educating themselves, and we figure it out, instead of saying that everybody is racist, everybody is doing us wrong, everybody, because then you will never get out of you will never get out of that particular reality. You will always be looking for handouts. And I hate to say that as a brother, but that's the reality of it. I think that there should be terms to everything, just like there should be a 12-year or a 20-year term in presidency, right? The max term is 8 years, 2 terms. You got 4 years, and then you got to go through a process of being re-voted back in, and then you can get voted back in for another 4 years. But you can't go more than 8 years. So I think that system was in place to keep things in balance. So that's the reality of it. I think that systems would be the only way, because you can't get rid of it all. Let's see right here. Really appreciate it. In order to do what you suggest, we need to pay cops 100K, wow, a year, and invest 10K in year of training, and we get what we pay for. This is from Eric. Really appreciate you, Eric. Yeah, 100K a year for a police officer is going to be. I think there'll be a lot of money. Nevertheless, when you have somebody that can take your life, there's a lot. There's a lot. Um, I think, and we do need some type of law and order, right? We do need law and order. I ain't gonna lie, and I really appreciate you for making the donation to help grow the nation for the $10 holla from Jay Versick. And I know a lot of people gonna leave here and say, "Oh, Law, you're wrong, man. You know, I hate you. I'm unsubbing. You know, yeah. Let's talk football." But this is a needed conversation, and we all grown. You know, we all grown, right? I really think that law and order need to be established. $100,000 a year is a lot of money to pay. Maybe a law enforcement is like what, 60 to 70 people per precinct. That's a lot of money, right? I do think that training needs to be not sneeze. That I think training is something that we would really have to enforce. I think that understanding is the part of the problem. I think that a lot of officers do not understand every culture, and they react before they needed to. I think that maybe if we can cross-train some officer with those who are experienced and have a better clean track record, will be a better solution. But 100,000, man, that would, and people fail to realize officers are public servants too. So I think that, man, 100,000 is too much money though. We will have to come up with a system, maybe that rewards or award officers in a way with incentives to get them to a certain point where they can get maybe they can get promotions that can equate to more money. That will be clean track records. That will be, maybe you wait for your backup before you intervene. Maybe for minor citations, maybe we change the aspect of how we arrest and detain people. I say this all the time. We can go to the wild Serengetis, and we can go to the jungles, and we can capture wild animals, lions, tigers, and bears, oh my, rhinos, you know, rhinoceroses, or hippos, whatever you may want to call them, elephants and giraffes, without killing them. We can obtain, or we can secure those or subdue those animals without killing them. But we can't catch Tyrone from down the street. We can't catch Keisha and secure her without killing her. And I think that there's ways that we will have to do some type of reform action to establish trust back in America. I don't know how that is going to all go into play. I'm not the guy that can give you guys a complete answer on that. I'm not educated enough to give you guys a solution on that. I can only throw out opinions. Let me know if I'm wrong, though, nation. Let me know. Tiger King, yeah. What better days we have in this conversation? Yeah. And our anniversary of the birth of the nation. Yes. That's stupid. Police don't even earn the money that they are getting paid, and now they would pay them more. Yeah. See, that is a hard situation. That's a hard situation. Shout out to you, Ali, man. Really appreciate you, man. Thank you for being part of the nation. Hit me back up when you can. I feel that this country is broken beyond repair. This is from Jim Laws. Shout out to you. Shout out to all the laws of the world. We will have to find a way, for this country to get back in place, man. We just have to find a way. Unless there's a revolution that's going to occur and we all gonna pull out our weapons and fight one another and kill one another until that all occur, you know. And to me, personally, I think what the Civil War, more people died in all of the wars, you know, and that was just to free people that look like me, you know. And I think that this country is not headed that way, but I think that social media, there is a war that's going on now. Everybody want to be right. Everybody is hard in their feeling. Everybody say a lot of stuff, but they're not doing anything. And that is the hardest battle to fight, when people say a lot of things and not doing anything. I got 10 more minutes, Cowboy Nation, and people that's tuning in. So I'm just trying to give you guys as much as my thoughts is about this. And the criminals breaks the law. They need to stop breaking the law. This is from Edwards. Somewhat agree with that, yeah. Oh, really? When and where, you know. Shout out to you, man. 48 cops killed last year. That's a lot of cops. There's a lot of cops, man. Appreciate your quest, you too. You know, he says, I may not agree with everything you say, Law, but I respect you. I really appreciate that, you know. I think that I want people to do this. In Matthew's chapter 18, verse 7, read that scripture for me when you get a chance. It says, woe unto the inhabitants of the world, because it causes you to sin. And that was the mighty Jesus Christ that was saying that, pretty much saying, woe unto this world because it causes you to sin. But the craziest thing of this altogether, when we think about Jesus, the Messiah, the person that laid his life on the line for all of us, right? If you believe in that, is that Jesus walked this earth knowing that people were going to crucify him, knowing that people were going to stab him in his back, right? One of the impelling things that throughout Jesus Christ's time on this planet is that he only lived 33 years, right? And the scriptures that we mostly uncover are the last 3 years. So there's a lot of chunk of that history that we just don't know, right? Or just wasn't transcribed to us or privy to us. Nevertheless, he was a guy that knew that out of the 12 that there was a Judas in there. He was a guy that understood that Judas was going to betray him, that was going to really sell him for pieces of silver and gold or whatever it may be. Nevertheless, when we start talking deep like this, we have to understand and contextualize it, that even though he knew those things that were going to occur, Jesus Christ himself washed Judas' feet. Wow. There's a level of servitude, right? There's a level of empathy, sympathy. There's a level of compassion. There was a level of understanding that this guy will eventually betray me, or this guy done already betrayed me. But he got on his hands and knees, and knowing that he know that this guy, or knew that this guy was going to betray him, speaks volumes. We can look around at this country and say to ourselves, man, there's a lot of bad things that are going on this planet. A lot of bad things are going on with this country. But I don't know if I have the fortitude and the will and the compassion of my heart to take my enemy shoes off and fill up a bucket of water, warm, soap, good, luscious water, and have my enemy to put his feet in that water and for me to wash his feet. I don't know if I have that type of compassion. But I come here to tell everybody that regardless of what we do as it relates to disagreeing with somebody or having a different thought track from someone else, is that, not saying you go out there and wash their feet, but we have to have a level of compassion, certitude of our mind, the ability to understand that there's something bigger than where we stand at. Maybe it's not all bad as what we think it is. Maybe everything happened for a reason. Hmm? Let me know if I'm wrong. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. I'm not that good of a man. This is from Jim Law. Yeah. You know, I'm not that good of a person as well, but we still continue to try to, to strive and do our best. And let that stand the record of our brain and hand. As we write our thoughts out on paper and we write our thoughts out as in our everyday action. What would be the gospel according to Jim? What would be the gospel according to Harold? What would be the gospel according to Edwards, John? All of those is in the chat box. Eric, what would be the gospel according to you? When your neighbor across the street is doing something wrong, shouldn't you be the person that say that's happening across the street, but over here at my house we doing everything right, so let me not intervene? Yeah. So it's a hard, man, to paint everybody with the same brush, is what I'm trying to say. It's hard, man, to have less pride in something that you grew up loving, because all of a sudden you realize what happened 200 years ago, 300 years ago. It's hard to say to yourself, I no longer support the Dallas Cowboys because they had a guy named Jason Garrett who was an average at best coach. Or you fell in love with this team before Jerry Wayne Jones bought the team. It's hard for you to turn your love and your adulations because of Jerry Wayne Jones' decision of not stepping up to the plate. And you sit there and say, man, wait a minute. I know this team, or I love this team before Jerry Jones bought the team. He financially owns the team, but I am emotionally already intact. It's hard to tell people that the Washington monuments, 2 out of the 4 that's up there, own slaves. Now, that's a site that whenever we go there, we should never have pride to look at it because those 2 guys own slaves. And we should never, ever support that. We should blow that down and keep 2 of them up there. It's hard to understand, to be a Native American, to understand that this country ripped apart, name change, and all of a sudden, you got to be the one to pay taxes. You got to be the one to fall within the confines of the system. All of your history is gone. It's hard for it to be a brother living in the United States, knowing that your ancestors was packed into a boat filled up like packs of sardines, forced to do work for all of these years. And all of a sudden, now that you wake up and you're 37 years old, and yes, there's no longer slavery in this country from what we can identify with, for you to look back and say, well, I disown everything that I got now. I want to quit my job. I want to quit talking about sports and talk about something else because of my forefathers were treated and mistreated wrongfully. And I want to take my success and throw it away now. It's hard to look at all of those things and say to yourself, man, I'm less than a person because of what happened in the past. Or we can look at it and say, okay, what can we do now to change everything? How can we become better as a nation? Can we fall on what JFK said? Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Or ask not what your people can do for you, but what you can do for your people. Do you really want a separation? Do you really want to move on from where you at now because you understand how you got here? Or you want to make what's best for what you're at now? Go out there, make votes, change policies, and get things going in the right direction. All right, my hour is here. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in to the nation. hit that like button, share this content, let a friend, neighbor, foe know where to go when they want to tune in to Cowboy Sports Talk. This is not political law. I'm not going to give you guys political talk all the time, but I just want to speak my mind. Um, it is what it is. Don't forget to hit that like button, share this content, let a friend, neighbor, foe know where to go when they want to tune in. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go, Cowboy Nation and beyond. Salute. I'm out. Peace.